This is a beginner guide for Enhancement Shamans in patch 10.2 and 10.2.5 for both Mythic Plus and Raiding, and I can guarantee you there will be no information overload even for a complex spec like this. So let's get you into the game and hit the ground running. Okay, so starting off with stat priorities, first and foremost, you are going to want to get eye level and agility over everything else, especially as a beginner. You don't want to overload yourself with too much information, and I want to make sure you're concentrating on learning the rotation. With that being said, however, if you do want to delve a bit deeper, or you're starting to look already at a more intermediate level, then this is the stat priority you are going to want to follow for the secondary stats. Starting off with Mastery, then Haste, Critical Strike, and then Versatility. I do always recommend, however, if you are doing this, even in this priority order, that you always sim your character. If you don't know what simming is, or you don't know how, please do join my Discord where I can help you achieve this, and I also have a written guide in there. But again, if you are just starting out, then just go for agility and eye level, higher and higher overall. That's all you need to focus on. Secondary stats will be fine. Now that we're looking at the talent trees, this one on the left is more single target and raiding focused, whereas the one on the right is more Mythic Plus and AoE focused. I will be going through the entire rotations for both. However, I'm not going to go through every single individual talent right this second. Why? Again, information overload. There are import strings down below in the description, so you can import these straight into your game. And when you are more comfortable with the rotation, etc., I do always recommend that you look through your spellbook and talent trees and see how every single individual one works together. But let's start off by looking at the important ones, and that is cooldowns. Enhancement Shamans have a really interesting cool toolkit, but they are a cool kit too, especially in patch 10.2 and 10.2.5. Starting off, we have Astral Shift, which is a simple defensive ability cooldown that's going to reduce our damage taken by 40%. Then we have the Earth Elemental, which we can summon to protect our allies for 1 minute, and it is going to increase your health, I think, by 15% while this is active. Third up is the Windrush Totem. Any ally who passes through is going to gain 40% movement speed increase. You can only use it every few minutes, but wherever you place it, as soon as they walk through, they're going to get that movement speed. And this can be a really useful utility cooldown for us and our allies in both Raiding and Mythic Plus. Of course, on the bottom then we have Bloodlust or Heroism, depending if you're Horde or Alliance. This is going to increase your entire party's haste by 30% for 40 seconds. You might already be aware of this one. It's very, very important. Other classes have it as well, but really important to note on here. And lastly, we have our Feral Spirit summoning 2 wolves to assist us in battle. We're going to go through that one a bit more when we go through the rotation. Looking then at our utilities, we have Ghost Wolf, which can be used in combat, giving ourselves 40% movement speed increase. You can use it whenever you want. It is fantastic. This is one of my favourite spells as a shaman. The second is Hex. This is quite simply going to transfigure an enemy into some sort of nasty bug off the bottom of your boot and incapacitate them as that for 1 minute. Same sort of thing as a polymorph from a mage. We have Wind Shear on the bottom. That is your kick or interrupt, as it's otherwise known, for shamans. And lastly, we have Water Walking, meaning you can cast this and you and your allies can walk on water, just like Jesus or Moses or whoever done that back in the day. So this is really, really useful for more so getting around than in most fights, but is really, really useful nevertheless. Now they've got all that out of the way, let's actually get into the rotation and UIs. So now we're in game, I'm going to show you a few important features before we actually get into the rotation. The first of all is, of course, what does our Mastery do? Well, it's going to increase our chance to trigger Stormbringer and Wind Fury weapon by 1.5%, that, it's depending on your Mastery, and increasing all Fire, Frost and Nature damage you deal. Stormbringer then, your special attacks have a percentage chance to reset the remaining cooldown on Storm Strike, which is one of our filler spells. Not very exciting. You may also then see that I have a few things on my screen kind of almost doubled up. This bar here isn't usually here, of course, it's just to show you. And this one here is a weak aura from Luxfoss, and I've put an import string down below for that as well. If you're wondering what that is, or you don't know how to import something like that, do join my Discord, because I will help you with any class questions, whether it's this class, any class. I have videos on nearly all of them. Whether it's an add-on issue, UI, anything at all, honestly, just join. I've set it up to be exceedingly helpful for beginners in particular to make sure that you guys can hit the ground running and make WoW as beginner friendly as possible. So seriously, no question is too small, too silly, too big, too anything else. I don't know. But yes, so basically this week it shows you your resources. As Enhancement Shaman, we're using Maelstrom Weapon. That is our main resource, and you can't see it because we don't have any. You can see here now we have 10 of it, and it is going to be the maximum amount at 10, and we're going to be generating that as we go on with the rotation. Also, you can see you've got your, buffs and cooldowns, etc. Everything you need pretty much in your eyesight with just 1 week aura. Another thing to go through is, of course, what is our set bonus for this season. 2 spells are mainly going to be affected. And it is this first one here, Primordial Wave, and the last one, Feral Spirit. So this is it here. Casting Primordial Wave is actually going to summon a Feral Spirit. Remember I spoke about that briefly in cooldowns? Well, here it is. It's going to be imbued with Crackling Surge, increasing all nature damage that you deal. The 4 set then means that every Feral Spirit we summon is going to reduce the cooldown of the Primordial Wave spell. That's that first spell on our list. So now that that is all out of the way, how are we going to put this all together and actually start using it? Well, a few things first. Wind Fury weapon, Flame Tongue weapon. Wind Fury goes on your main hand, Flame Tongue goes on your offhand. Each one of these is a weapon enhancement for your main and offhand that lasts an hour. Wind Fury means that each main hand attack has a chance to trigger 2 extra attacks, and Flame Tongue means there is a chance, so not a chance, but causing your attacks to deal additional fire damage. These are special to Shamans, Enhancement Shamans, and we're going to actually be using these at all times on our weapons as a 1 hour buff. You can see it just above my shoulder here. Here they are. These are the 2 buffs. Another one is the Wind Fury Totem. You can see on my weak aura, it is tracking it. This is going to summon a totem for 2 minutes with your party members within 30 yards having a 20% chance when they attack to swing an extra time. And we're going to want to keep that up at all times. Lastly, of course, is Feral Spirit, summoning 2 elemental wolves that aid you in battle. They're immune to movement impairing effects. And each elemental Feral Spirit summoned grants you, again, the 20% increased damage. And they generate 1 stack of Maelstrom Weapon immediately and 1 stack every 3 seconds. If you can't remember what that is our resource here that we're going to be generating and spending as an Enhancement Shaman in patch 10. Always, but especially in patch 10.2 and 2.5. So let's actually start going in and looking what spells we're using and when. I will preface this by saying Enhancement Shaman is not a simple rotation, and therefore I have actually come up with the full rotation I'm going to be showing you and then a slightly simplified version so that no matter where you are, if you're a complete beginner or a bit more intermediate, this should be the guide for you. So first of all, Primordial Wave. Blast your target with a wave, dealing damage and applying Flame Shock to them. This next spell here is your Flame Shock. So casting Primordial Wave is going to apply Flame Shock. This doesn't last forever, however. So if Flame Shock is not on the target, then use Flame Shock itself. You want to keep Flame Shock up at all times on your target. Primordial Wave also makes your next Lightning Bolt, which is this one here, hit all targets affected by your Flame Shock for 150% of normal damage. So when you use Primordial Wave, it's going to buff your Lightning Bolt. So when you use your Lightning Bolt, it's going to actually do damage to everyone who has your Flame Shock on them. TLDR, keep Flame Shock up on all your targets, whether it's single target, AoE, etc. After that, the next one is going to be Lava Lash, and we're only going to use it when we have this buff that has just fallen off. What is that, you may ask? It is Hot Hand, just like hot potato. Melee auto attacks with Flame Tongue weapon active. That is the weapon enhancement I told you to use at all times. Lasts an hour. So melee attacks with that active, which it will be, have a 5% chance to reduce the cooldown of Lava Lash and increase the damage it does. So you can see here, this is Hot Hand. The next thing in our priority is using Lava Lash when we have that proc. If we don't have that proc, then it's actually going to move all the way to about here. Well, here on our priority. But if we do have Hot Hand, like you can see we have, then we're going to put it here on our priority list. You could put it, if you're getting used to the rotation, here and here, so that you know where to use it for both instances. So let's just recap here so far. We're using Primordial Wave as our #1 priority on cooldown, keeping Flame Shock up on everyone, and using Lava Lash only when we have the proc. The next bit then is where I'm going to show you the simple and complex version. Let's start off with the full complex version. And this is going to be basically how we're spending our Maelstrom weapon, as you can see here. How are we going to be spending that? So the first priority is, do we have 5 or more Maelstrom weapon? Right now, yes we do. We have 10. Also, do we have 2 charges of Elemental Blast? Yes we do. Okay, that's when we're going to use that as our number 1 priority. So 5 or more Maelstrom weapon with Elemental Blast at 2 charges. The next priority will be, do we have 8 or more Maelstrom weapon? Do we have Primordial Wave buffing our Lightning Bolt? Yes, we do. And we have 10, which is 8 or more. So we're going to use our Lightning Bolt. So remember, Primordial Wave is going to generate 10 Maelstrom weapons. So whenever you do use it, you are going to have more than 8. And it's also going to buff our Lightning Bolt. So the priority is, if we have 5 or more Maelstrom weapon and 2 charges of Elemental Blast, then you use Elemental Blast. If that doesn't have 2 charges and we don't have 5 or more, actually those 2 conditions together, we're going to go, have we got our Lightning Bolt being buffed by Primordial Wave? And have we got 8 or more? We haven't, but let's pretend we do. Yes, we're going to use Lightning Bolt. After that, it goes back to Elemental Blast, also at 8 or more, with a Feral Spirit active. And then we're going to use Elemental Blast. After that, it then goes back to just Lightning Bolt not being buffed, but with 10 Maelstrom weapon or more. So if you're thinking, oh my goodness, I'm never going to remember all this, don't worry. Let's go over it again just so we know what's going on. Have we got 5 or more Maelstrom weapon and 2 stacks of Elemental Blast? Yes, let's use that. After that, it's going to be using Primordial Wave with our buffed Lightning Bolt at 8 or more. After that, it's going to be 8 or more with Elemental Blast. And then after that, it's going to be Lightning Bolt with 10 Maelstrom weapon. Now let's look at a simplified version of this if you're finding this too difficult to remember. The reason I am doing this is I sometimes get a lot of comments with my simplified rotations that I sometimes do saying that, things are missing. But then I also have real true beginners saying, you're not showing, you are showing us enough. This is perfect. So I really want to make sure that I'm covering all my bases for you guys here. So let me know in the comments below if this way of explaining things is beneficial to you. I'm trying to, appease as many people as possible by doing it this way. So the simplified version is, because you're using your Primordial Wave as your number 1 priority anyway, it makes sense that you're going to have a lot of Maelstrom weapon from that, which is 10. So the top priority is going to be using Primordial Wave and then using your Lightning Bolt to spend that Maelstrom weapon. So basically, Lightning Bolt, do you have 5 or more and it's buffed by Primordial Wave? Yes. Then we're going to say, again, do we have 5 or more? And can we use Elemental Blast? Yes. So again, Primordial Wave with Lightning Bolt and 5 or more, yes. And then if not, go to Elemental Blast. And then after that, we're just going to say, if we've got 10 Maelstrom weapon, go back to Lightning Bolt. So again, the simplified version is Primordial Wave, buffed Lightning Bolt with 5+ Maelstrom weapon. If there's no buff Lightning Bolt, but still have 5+, then we're going to use Elemental Blast. If we can't use Elemental Blast, we're going to go for 10 Maelstrom weapon and Lightning Bolt unbuffed. Much simpler. Up to you which one you choose. After that then, we're starting to go on to more filler spells, which is going to be Ice Strike. TLDR, Ice Strike does some damage and actually generates 1 stack of Maelstrom weapon and empowers your Frost Shock. We're going to then use our Frost Shock after using Ice Strike. After that then, we really are going on to fillers, which is going to be using Lava Lash without the Hot Hand buff. Then it's going to be Storm Strike here. Again, we'll generate 1 stack of Maelstrom weapon and do some damage. And then after that, it's just going to be using Flame Shock. And that's pretty much it. That is the rotation for single target. Let's recap the whole thing and put it together. Number 1 priority, use Primordial Wave. Number 2, keep Flame Shock up. But don't forget, Flame Shock will be applied by Primordial Wave, but keep it up on all targets. Then we're going to use Lava Lash with the Hot Hand buff you can see we've got up here. Then it's going to be using our Maelstrom weapon usage priority. 5 or more and 2 stacks of Elemental Blast. Then it's going to be 8 or more with a buffed Lightning Bolt. And then it's going to be 8 or more with Elemental Blast and Feral Spirit up. I'm even having to remember myself here. And then it's going to be Lightning Bolt with 10 or more Maelstrom weapon. The simple version of that, remember, is we're going to stick for the first 2 with 5 or more Maelstrom weapon. First of all being Primordial Wave buffed Lightning Bolt. The second being, same again, 5 Maelstrom weapon and Elemental Blast, and then the third being 10 Maelstrom weapon and Lightning Bolt. So that's your, again, complex and simple. After that, we're going to say use Ice Strike and then Frost Shock, and after that it's going to be Lava Lash without the buff, then it's going to be Storm Strike, and then it's going to be Flame Shock, and then Frost Shock if you really haven't got anything else to use. And that is it for the single target rotation. Hopefully you understood all that. is not the easiest spec to do, along with things like Arcane Mage and Feral Druid. Yes, I've got guides on those, by the way. I have guides on pretty much everything. Don't forget to check out all my other ones on my channel and subscribe if you enjoy these. But yes, it is not the simplest spec. It's one of the more difficult ones to learn, especially as a beginner. So do not beat yourself up about it if you're struggling. If you are struggling, however, please do just join my Discord and I can help you. I will help you with anything. Add-ons, UI, class questions, literally anything you need at all. I'm here. I will help. I promise. No question too big or too small. Now let's go into the AoE rotation, and it is a bit different and some of this does cleave. So if you are finding this a struggle already, then just go and use this for now for everything until you get more comfortable. Now, what some people might be saying is, oh, you know, you should be using the correct rotation. But the thing is, if you're getting all confused and it's information overload, you're going to be doing less DPS overall. If you can master this and then move on to the AoE version, then you're actually probably going to be doing more overall. And I always think you should be learning in kind of, you know, building blocks and steps at a time, walk before you can run sort of thing. So the main few changes we're going to be using here in this Mythic Plus version is Sundering, Crash Lightning and Crushing Storms. This is the priority list here. It's a bit different. So we're going to be using Lava Lash as our number one priority and keeping Flame Shock up as usual. Then using our Primordial Wave. And remember, trying to use it on a target that doesn't have Flame Shock, because we're trying to keep Flame Shock up on everyone. Then use your Feral Spirit. And now we're on to the Maelstrom weapon cooldowns. First up this time, it's going to be a bit like our simple rotation in single target. We're going to be using it with the Primordial Wave, 5 or more Maelstrom weapon and Lightning Bolt. Then it's going to be Chain Lightning with 10 or more Maelstrom weapon. And then after that, we're going to be using our new exciting Crash Lightning spell. Electrocutes all enemies in front of you, dealing damage, hitting 2 or more targets, enhancing your weapons, causing Storm Strike, Ice Strike and Lava Lash to deal more damage to all targets in front of you. So we want to try and keep this buff up at all times, as much as we can. It's only on an 11-second cooldown, and then we're going to use this at the next point in the rotation. After that, it's going to be Ice Strike and Frost Shock, just as normal. And after that will be Sundering, and a new spell also we're getting now in Mythic Plus talents. Shatters a line of earth in front of you with the main hand weapon, causing Flame Strike damage and incapacitating an enemy for 2 seconds. After that, you can pretty much go back to your filler rotation at the end of Storm Strike, etc. So let's just recap this Mythic Plus rotation again. We're going to be using Lava Lash, getting Flame Shock up on everyone. Primordial Wave, again, hopefully on someone without Flame Shock, so that we're spreading more Flame Shock. Use your Feral Spirits, and there's going to be 5 or more Maelstrom weapon with the Primordial buffed Lightning Bolt. After that, 10 or more. Well, can't go any more, so 10. Chain Lightning, and then after that, it's going to be getting your Crash Lightning buff up on yourself. Use your Ice Strike, use your Frost Shock, use your Sundering, and then just fillers. And that's pretty much, for a beginner, the core rotation for Mythic Plus and single target. Let me know your thoughts down below, guys. Was this helpful? Are you having any problems still? Best place to contact me is generally my Discord if you do need more help and questions. I hope you, like I said, with anything you need. And don't forget to check out all of my other class videos, especially if you are a beginner, because you don't know what you might like and what you might not like. A few tips I do have is maybe even recording your gameplay and watching it back and taking notes to see how you perform. Trying it on the target dummies like I'm showing you here. Go into a follower dungeon where there's no pressure. Things like that. You know, there's a lot of things we can actually do before going into that, you know, that daunting Mythic Plus environment or raid environment, you know, where other people might have more knowledge than you as a beginner. So there's a few things that I would suggest doing if you are really, really new. Thank you for watching. Please let me know your comments down below if you have any thoughts on this, and I'll see you in the next one.